Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 7th of December to the 14th of December. Yeah, there really wasn't any videos this week that I thought were not good. I'm sorry it's been very sparse in that department lately, but I'm okay with the digests being largely positive and more recommendation stuff and not trying to talk shit. I'm not like intentionally trying to wean away from it, but I don't want to go out of my way to watch something I'm not gonna like, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go over some videos that I thought were decent, pretty good. And this first one was sent to me by somebody. Sorry for a lot of people send me things that I just forget. But this guy Augie, it was his friend that he sent this is the guy who sent me this was his friend or whatever. What makes a great classic anime? And obviously I like this subject because I'm much more into the older stuff. But and I like the guy's passion and his energy here. And I like the way he talks about these shows as trying to define this X factor that he notices in them that makes them classic and kind of stand the test of time. That people still talk about them and go back to them even though they're so old. As old as Dragon Ball is the oldest thing he talks about, which is 86, which is old, but it's you could go older. My whole thing with seeing this, it's like, yeah, it's, they don't seem to be like gold. It was weird. They talk about like, we're gonna go back to the golden age of anime, and they show off like Akira and I think Cowboy Bebop in that little brief moment, but like they really kind of talk about Ava and a little bit of Bebop really mostly towards the end. But I think that they actually really cared about talking about Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu Yu Hakusho. And they were kind of different in their own ways of just like why they gravitated. He kind of had this nice anecdote about Dragon Ball, how like everybody kind of started in the middle of it, but we weren't watching for the episodic moment to moment things, but we were like we somehow got what was going on. We were immediately invested, sort of deal. Which I think is a good attribute to point out for a long-running series like Dragon Ball. I agree that it's a strong attribute for that show, where like for the most part, every episode you can watch on its own, and it'll be entertaining. And it's not so much like you have to watch the other episodes to really enjoy it sort of deal, which is a conversation I've had elsewhere. I won't go into so much. Speaking of, actually, about that a little bit, apparently he doesn't like Hunter x Hunter. There's kind of a little gag in here when he's talking about Yu Yu Hakusho that, like, he kind of, like, makes this little shit post with Hunter x Hunter, and, yeah, I guess he doesn't like it. All right, that's interesting. I do like me my Hunter x Hunter slander, though. Not that it's a complicated relationship I have with that show. I've gone through a lot of phases with it. And yeah, and I think it was interesting his points about Yu-Gi-Oh, where like a lot of the later seasons don't have the same X factor classic appeal that the original Yu-Gi-Oh had. But other than that, it was just kind of it is what it only do so much, because you can tell this person's really mostly into the shonen stuff. Like it wasn't until he like showed some clips of Akira, I guess, and then like a 2 minutes in or something, and then also like talking a little bit about Evangelion and Bebop, where I was like, so have you seen anything past shonen, past the shonen series? And that's okay if you haven't. It's just just interesting, I guess. But first I've kind of heard of this channel, so that was kind of cool to see. Yeah, check that out. So this video came up on the timeline. People were already like, "Whoa, no! Oh no! Oh no!" Thinking it's gonna be kind of a stinker. If you've never heard of Moviebob, he's a sort of a notorious movie critic, I guess, kind of nerdy or whatever. Little Red Letter Media-esque, I guess, writes for The Escapist. I really don't know too much of him. I've seen a little bit of his stuff. He seems like kind of a harsh-ish critic. But like, this is an hour-long video on tokusatsu. Tokusatsu is weird, which is not a very promising title. It's like, oh no, what are you doing? What are you gonna say? Because he seems to be more of a Western perspective, and this could go get kind of ugly. But this is actually a anthology of his previous editorials, I guess. He's made a lot of video editorials over the years. And so this is just a compilation of all of the times he's talked about tokusatsu in some fashion, whether from clips of a larger editorial or the editorials themselves. And honestly, I liked a fair deal of them. I thought some, it's kind of a mixed bag a little bit, so it's not like the most mind-blowing whatever. But I enjoyed some of the segments because, at least pretty much all of them, he doesn't really take that tokusatsu is weird title all that seriously in the videos themselves. He actually takes them pretty seriously, and he has the transparency. It's, yeah, Power Rangers here to sell toys, blah blah blah. And a lot of the segments are mostly focused on the Western, like, what does this mean for the Western market, basically. So, like, he talks about, like, this Beetleborgs adaptation or localization, I guess, which is totally different. And even expands upon that and talks about, like, oh, why did Beetleborgs not get renewed in the United States when it was kind of getting a little popular? Is because they ran out of the footage from the original series, and the original series, subsequent seasons of it, they turned into a more kid-friendly approach that was not very usable for the Western market because it was so integrate. He doesn't say this in that editorial, but it's very integrated with Japanese footage. Like, it's the people in the suits, as well as like little Japanese middle schoolers and stuff that they're following, the perspective characters. So there really wasn't too much footage that they could, just take out of context and no one would know it's Japanese, sort of deal. Which is unfortunate. And Bob actually makes a good case for it. He's like, this is actually kind of fun, and it has all this stuff, and he describes it, and without any malice or dismissal or snobbery, I guess, which I really appreciated, actually. The editing is not the most glamorous, I guess. It's a lot of just like the clips and stuff, but then a lot of the cutaways when he doesn't have any like thing to show you that's relative to the footage and stuff are these faces. It's like a lot of stock facial expressions of like these old white men that I guess are kind of like supposed to embody what he's saying. But it's kind of like the cartoon Avatar, except it's just these generic, and they're all different. They're not like the same white guy. It's like the same. I don't know why I'm specifying that it's a white guy, but like I think it's part of the vibe, the expression they're making. It's like only a white guy can kind of. It's like what you picture, I guess. I don't know. It's just something about it. I don't think there's anything inherently like, ooh, no representation in my cartoon Avatar. Like, it's nothing like that. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know why I mentioned it. It was just, that's just what stuck out to me. It's like, huh, these are very white guys. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of a strange editing style, but purpose, utilitarian and fine, and would it be. There was a lot of old videos and sort of some newer videos and stuff, and I didn't find it all that bad, actually. I thought he did an okay job with talking about these series. He didn't really talk about the major ones. Like, there was no discussion about Kamen Rider or Ultraman. Like, he mentions them, but it's not like you're not looking for a review of Ultra 7 or something like that, right? Or any of the Sentai series, any of the Tokusatsu series that like everyone kind of knows and talks about. It's more of the niche, kind of like off-spin kind of weird little things that are their own little universe spin-off franchise things that aren't any of the major like big three, kind of like not big three, I guess big four if you count Godzilla, but like, you know, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Sentai, it's not like any of those sort of deal. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right. It's a really bad title and thumbnail, actually. It doesn't look very promising. But I'm here to assure you it wasn't so bad. At least as someone who, I mean, I'm not a Tokusatsu fan. Maybe he got a bunch of shit wrong. Or it is offensive in some way, or you're very hyper defensive. I didn't find it all that obnoxious, really. So I liked it. I ended up watching all of Glass Reflections Review Week of Awesome in one swoop. And because I wanted to kind of, obviously that's kind of a cool thing, and that he does every year. I was a little disappointed in the lineup this year because it really wasn't a lot of major. I mean, I guess all of them were like kind of high. I guess it was, you know, Vinland Saga, Beastars. I guess those are high profile. Konosuba. But they're all kind of stuff that came out in the past 2 years. Whereas, like, I felt like he would have, in the past, I felt like he would make reviews about recent stuff, and then Review Week of Awesome would be the batch that would be like the old stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of like some looking back on some stuff. But, you know, he does that now anyway, regardless. He has kind of its own classics thing going on. So it was part of the popularity thing. But I was a little disappointed in the lineup personally, I guess. But out of all the videos that I watched, I thought the first one he did on Konosuba was kind of my favorite because it had this interesting anecdote about his personal relationship with this show, where he really likes the first season and the second season kind of trailed off and didn't go. It really disappointed him and kind of burnt him out on the rest of the series. And the movie ended up not, and this is also a coverage of the movie as well. And he doesn't seem to have gotten as much from the movie as well. Liked it more than the second season, I guess, but it still had problems that became very apparent in season 2 for him, that carried on into the movie, that he was like, oh man. But I like that he stuck his neck out there. It got kind of dislike bombed a bit, not too terribly, but I was just interested in this video because it was something different, kind of going out of your way, have this kind of unpopular opinion, I guess. Thought it was interesting. That was the one that kind of stuck out to me the most out of those 5. The 5 were all pretty okay. It's what you expect from Arcada review, I think. But I thought this one had some more stuff going on with it, which was kind of cool. Evanito had a video, what it's like editing for CDawg VA. And, you know, I like these kinds of videos because it's a metatextual and, you know, talking about the larger sphere, I guess. And I thought Evan was really affable. I feel like he's gotten more and more affable as the months and as he's grown as a content creator. He's gotten very more animated and wisecracking and very engaged with his audience, like really trying to drive engagement and like personable, I guess, which is really great. I think he's been really successful in that, and he almost has 100K, which is fucking sweet. Really early preliminary, I don't know. I forget the word for it. Congratulations in advance, I guess. But this was a cool video, talking about what it's like to edit for him. Yeah, that's what the title is, you dumbass. It is what it is. It says it on the tin. But like, he's very, very nice to Connor, and I also like that he went into the details of how he got started working for him. Where he's like, yeah, Mudan recommended me to him, and then he rejected me, and then he eventually took me on, and then this and this and this. And then he went actually into like, here's what the timeline is like editing this thing, and preferences that Connor has, and kind of the general process of making one of these videos, which I thought was really great. And I like that it kind of represents as also a little bit of a transition video, where it's like, now I'm at the point where I've become my own content creator, and now I'm looking for an editor. And I thought that was a really great way a roundabout way to not only, make an announcement video that you need an editor, but but also just kind of have this nice little narrative journey through it. I thought that was really cool. I liked that video, Evan. That was really good. And the fun don't stop with putting CDawgVA in the title and thumbnail, even though he's not present in the video necessarily. Jack and Core had a fun time. It was technically a live stream that happened 2 weeks ago, I believe, and then they had the kind of the polished as you can make video about the worst anime game show featuring his editor, which is Evan. So I'm actually in this video. It's 3 teams of 2. It's Condi and Hiding, Evan and Eden, and Steve Sakai and myself, with Jack and Core hosting. And it was all of us in a voice call. All of us had face cam on, which was really great. And had a lot of fun, a lot of really good time. It was very chaotic and unorganized, and like they didn't tell us anything about it in advance, and there were certain gaffes and flubs and stuff which you don't see in the video so much. Although I really like that they mostly cut out the debate section, which is just they're just like it was just bad. It wasn't funny. You gotta deal because it got like really serious at one point. Not like serious, but like the topic itself was just kind of political, and it's like, are you sure with this? But I thought it was a lot of funny moments, really cut together really well. I thought I had a good time, so check that out, the highlight at least. I'm not sure if the full live stream is up either, but you'd probably be best off experiencing it like this. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I don't check into Beyond the Bot too often, just because the video subjects I'm not always super interested in, I guess. I don't know. I don't have the initiative to click on, I guess. But it's always this guy. I forget his name. He says it in the video. I'm so sorry, I forget. But it's the same guy who did the first video on the channel about hip-hop and anime. And he's talking here about masculinity and relationships in Fooly Cooly. And so it's an analysis talking about Naota and kind of the abusive relationships he has in the series and how he sort of grows up over the course of it, and how he acts and the societal pressures and stuff. And I thought it was a pretty thorough, interesting reading of it. I'm not a big Cooly fan. What is this LFCC you speak of? But I vaguely remember the episodes, the show. And from what the evidence he was giving and going episode by episode, really charting the journey here and having a lot of quotes to back up, and a lot of feminist readings on masculinity, and the patriarchy. I don't mean to put it in quotations as a means of demeaning it. I mean, I don't know. I think the sort of the tongue-in-cheek, like, what I think I really liked about this video was his approach to this video, where he knows how hyper serious a subject this is, and how like this could get super ugly in the comments sort of deal. And he really like goes through it, and he's like, and he kind of like zones, he kind of goes out of body with it at one point, and because he's talking about this like super serious stuff in such a wacky show, all things considered. And so he's just kind of wrestling with that during the video, and I like his character a lot here, like his affect on screen and the way he's delivering this information to you. It's not obnoxious. It's interesting, and I really liked it. It's only indecent for me because I genuinely don't know how on point he is about any of this. I'm not because I'm not a Cooly fan. So like, I'm sure that there might be some people who are like, that was fucking wrong or something. I don't know. Maybe it's sort of the hesitation I have as a critic of judging this sort of thing. It's more like I genuinely don't know. So I don't have as much attachment to it, so it only gets so much personal enjoyment from me. I think is kind of where how I would verbalize this to you of why it's in this. I don't always feel like I need to justify my section choices, I guess, but like, I was impressed with this video. I actually really, really enjoyed it and was able to pay attention to it all the way through, which is kind of rare for a video like this. For me personally, I feel like a lot of it always comes off, like, slides off, and it's just like, whatever, you know? So, I mean, yeah, I liked it. But check it out for yourself if you think that's kind of like, whoa, what's he trying to do here, you know? I thought it was interesting. I would like to hear. I didn't read the comments of that video. Seemed to have a good reception though, at least in the like-dislike ratio. But if someone was like, it's awful, then I'm like, okay, sure. But yeah, I thought it was good. I watched an anime VISOR. Yeah, I always think it was like VISOR or something. But anime VISOR, Lupin the Third Part 1, a retro anime review. Standard review of Lupin the Third Part 1. Although the majority of the video is really just giving you the general information of kind of what this series is and the background information, going into detail of like what the characters are based on, and it's based on this manga, and here's the history of how it got made, and here's the previous director, and it was Miyazaki and Yasuo Otsuka, and you know, all the background stuff, which is good, and I like that in a video for sure. And he recommends certain episodes of it to give you an idea of Lupin. But he seems to be kind of lukewarm on it, I guess, overall. But I wish I don't think he went into so much detail about that, of like, what did he think about the more serious episodes versus when it got goofy. I would have liked to hear more about that instead of just like, that's what happened. You know what I mean? You know, it wasn't so much of his opinion, I guess, which I guess is fine. It's certainly different for review. I did leave a comment because he was like, I was expecting the main Lupin theme from part 2, but they didn't have it yet in part 1, so it's this OP. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's a great OP. Yeah, that is the OP. Isn't it great? It's super defensive. And he's like, oh, it's good. The ED's good. It's just this one insert song, you know. Lupin, he's a nice man. Let me read you the lyrics for you. I'm like, you don't need to. They're very clear in the song, and they're very endearing. Like, yeah, it's very corny and silly and odd, you know. Especially it's kind of like, but I don't know. I think there's a really cool novelty to it, and it's really fun. And I like Takeo Yamashita. You took the back. No, not that he had a super negative take or something like that. Anyway, I just thought that was funny and interesting. But yeah, I liked that review of his. That was good. And wow, we're already at the best videos of the week. At least the ones I thought that were like, wow, that was great to see. I'm excited about that. Saberspark. Of all guys, I think this is the first time he's talked about anime specifically. Big cartoon YouTuber. Grew like crazy with these what the hell happened videos, which are very great historical not documentaries, right? That's kind of overselling it, I guess. But really going through the history of DreamWorks and Disney and Bluth Pictures and stuff like that. And his recent VeggieTales video was fantastic. I never knew any of that information, which was like really interesting and insightful. Happy to see that in an actual video, because a lot of the time cartoon YouTubers, they're just kind of talking about, is the cartoon good? But more recently, he's been doing more kind of quicker stuff and more about specific doing that standard cartoon thing where he's talking about the wacky, the weird bootleg third-party weird thing, right? But here he's actually talking about Cleopatra 1970, which is the second film in the Anime-Rama trilogy, which, I mean, if you follow my channel, I made a video for Novid November about the first in that trilogy, which is 1001 Nights, which I much prefer. I mean, I like that one, and I love Belladonna of Sadness. It's one of my favorite anime movies. But Cleopatra is definitely kind of the stinker. It's not great. And so, you know, I really like that Saberspark was able to give this anime a spotlight. And he says that he wants to talk about the others in the Anime Rama trilogy soon. Let me just double check what the views are on this. 984,000. It has almost 1 million views. Like on an Anime Rama video. And that's because like he's a very active, like every video he drops he usually gets a lot of numbers on. But like I'm even looking at his latest stuff now, and yeah, no, nothing blew up like this. Has blown up like this in a while. This is already, wow, this is a really big success for him. Dang. Anyway, that's great. Maybe that'll mean he talks about more anime later. That'd be great. I do like his commentary, and I like how much detail and information he does give, even though, you know, it's I don't know, it doesn't have as much teeth, I guess. He doesn't really go in. He doesn't go after the maybe some other of his. I'm not an avid watcher of his channel all that much. I like the big videos from him, and this is a relatively big video actually, because like you look at his other videos and they're roughly like 10-15 minutes or less, like really less, some of these, but this was like a pretty hefty video from him, which is good to see. Wow, yeah, it's funny how like he put out a video of the top 10 worst animated movies I've ever seen, and that only has like 500,000 views after a week, and then 3 days have gone by and this has already gotten almost 1 million. That is insane. On a fucking on a release that Discotek is putting out. I think it's out by now. I think it's available now, which is awesome. Hopefully, maybe it gets some sales. I mean, he didn't mention Discotek, unfortunately, but that's still cool. I did work on this. That's the other crazy thing. I worked on this release. I didn't even register that actually. I did work on this release. I did some chapters for it. It is crazy. It's a movie. But that's really cool. I liked his coverage of it, and I just like that it's a bigger channel talking about obscure shit. That was great. I checked out another Red Bard video, and similar sort of delivery and presentation, everything very utilitarian, and the same BGM, you know, every time. It's like you get something I like the piano parlor stuff, but why does it have to be the same one? Every section for every video. Maybe you bought the rights to it or something and you just want to use it. Okay, fine. This video, how Endless 8 became one of the most hated arcs in anime history. It's already gotten, this one's also gotten done really well for her so far. But it's a very popular subject, I guess, and, you know, very heated debate. And it was interesting seeing, this is the first time I think that anyone's covered in a video documenting the actual fan reception to this arc, and not so much talking about it. I mean, she does talk about it, but she kind of goes through the journey that fans went through before Endless 8 aired. So, like, this whole kerfuffle of whether season 2 was happening, and they're looking at, like, a rebroadcast that was happening on Japanese television, like, oh, maybe. And there's 28 episodes. Oh, so maybe there was something more there, but they're just going to rebroadcast it twice, and then suddenly a new episode shows up. It's like, what? I couldn't believe that happened in like 2009. That like something that chaotic and messy, frankly, was going on with that. That could have been. I think that you know, Red Bart also discusses the idea of whether this killed Haruhi as a franchise in terms of its popularity, because it definitely dwindled dramatically in popularity, and the major reason she cites is the lack of content, the lack of light novels. Like, they adapted almost everything. There's enough to last maybe another season, according to her. I haven't looked into it myself, but that sounds about right. It's like, well, you kind of adapted the majority of it. Oh well. I don't know, that is interesting. It's had a couple of things here and there, but you know, what can you do? But you know, it is still young. It's still only about a decade old, so you never know. Years can go by, sort of deal. But I really liked I really liked her talking about the fan reaction. I actually had to go in our Discord call to rave about this because I couldn't believe that this is not about her video so much, but the fact that I'm learning about the fact that people actually got mad that the same episode was playing. Like by week 3, they're like, how much longer will this go on? I don't know. How about in the arc that's called Endless 8, do you think it's going to be 8 episodes? When it was? And it was weird that, like, the reception for me, I just couldn't believe that, like, people had such an actually negative reception to this. When it's clearly that the show had differences every episode. It just had the same plot beats. It's not minor. It doesn't seem to be minor adjustments. It seems to be kind of significant ones. And it also, the fact that, like, the one thing that changes is the fact that Kyon is aware that it's the same day and he's just going through the same motions and he's aware of that. I think that would be super compelling. And the anime's adding to this. And so, you know, there's this idea with also, like, you weren't there. We wanted Disappearance to be adapted, and having it take up this 14 episode thing meant that it wasn't going to adapt Disappearance, and we were bummed about that. And then obviously it did get a movie that was amazing. And so now we look back on it, and if you binge the 8 episodes, it's kind of fine, or if you skip, I don't know. I just think it's very babyish. Like, I don't know. I laugh at in hindsight, you know. It's comical, really. The fan reaction to this was so overblown and hysterical, frankly. Not that Red Bard overtly says that. I think she kind of sympathizes with it, but she doesn't outright take a side or anything. She doesn't personally bring in her vendetta. She's more communicating what people were feeling at that time, using a lot of evidence through tweets, and very old tweets from 2009, and forums and various things like that. And I always really admire her dedication to looking into those things and doing that sort of research, and crafting that narrative, and realizing that. I thought that was really great. Yeah, good. Okay, so this thumbnail's been changed a couple of times, but it will be permanent now that it's in this video. I'm shouting at a video that an AMV that one of my patrons, Hazel, and co-collaborator on an AMV project I'm doing right now, that she linked into my server to let me know. This channel called Rosebloom put out this nearly 20-minute AMV, and it's just called Healing. And I don't know this person, and I get it's maybe like a more personal, private thing, but it's not unlisted. It's not private at the moment, at least. You know, this is one that I'm kind of like, should I call attention to it? Because it's a very private, like a very personal means of expression here, where Rosebloom is is kind of artistically expelling the harsh feelings and frustrations and trauma that she experienced in this long-term relationship that she had, which is rough. She doesn't go into really any detail of exactly what her significant other did at the time, what her ex, I suppose, at this point. There's some talk in the description, but it's very abstract in the AMV itself. But I wanted to recommend it because I was floored by it. I watched it twice. First when she first recommended it to me, seeing that it came out recently, and then again today when I watched it because I wanted to watch it again, just because I didn't have to, but I loved it. And even on the second time, the thing that really sticks out to me is all the stuff that sticks out to me, I guess. The iconography of this AMV is really strong. Like, it goes through a lot of phases. There's lots of anime that is used here, and live action stuff, and other such things, Steven Universe, and the certain paper. She has all the sources in the description, of course. It's a whole mix of stuff. It's not very regimented at all. As well as like a slew of songs and other things. But yeah, it's really crazy and cool, and emotionally heavy. Very, obviously very effect heavy, and really cool stuff going on. And a lot of boundary pushing stuff too, because I don't want to 100% assume that the person at the end, that for the majority of, not the very end, there's like this is in movements, but like the second to last movement, it's mostly a song and somebody lip syncing to it, and it zooms out and it's that person. They're very kind of depressed and like really beat down sort of deal, and just and I'm not sure if that's actually Rosebloom or not. I think it's safe to assume that, but I don't fully want to. But that's super brave too. Like, you never see that with an AMV. I thought that's part. It's not that scene specifically, right? But it's just the whole. This is a very like. It's not like, this isn't like the breakup video or something. I think she broke up with him, like 9 months beforehand. Before this, it was like a year of the relationship, and then 9 months after they broke up, of like dealing with the separation and trying to actually separate, because being that intimate with somebody for so long, that's tough to really break and stop fully. So that's very harrowing, very interesting though, and really gorgeous AMV, really impactful. I love the use of Gilbert's Alone Again Naturally. Belladonna of Sadness, you did really good stuff with that. As someone who's made a Belladonna AMV myself, loved that. Ava, of course, you can't. I feel like you can't make an AMV like this without some Ava, right? Not that it's cliche or something. I really like a lot of the motions you had here, and a lot of the effects and stuff. A lot of surprising things. Nothing that was super repetitive or using the same gimmick over and over sort of deal. It's really awesome. I just wanted to say that I really, really liked it, and I think other people should check it out. Despite it being fairly personal, all things considered. Hiding in Public is back with a banger. Blam video, the cyberpunk manga classic that changed history. And this one's starting to bomb a little bit, or is bombing. I don't know much about YouTube algorithms. I don't know what's good or bad for him. But I think he was saying it was bombing at some, because I think Scamboli commented on this video. He's like, yeah, that was great, and he's like, hey, good to see you. I saw that comment. That was cool. I like that shit. But yeah, it's a Blam video, and Heidi really goes in on the presentation of this video, more so than a lot of his other videos. Not that the other videos didn't have attention to that, but I think the choices in this one were just more overt, especially kind of the writing at the very beginning is very rich and pointedly poetic, I suppose, like kind of overtly so. But then the music selections are so strong and like really loud in the mix. I'm a music reviewer or something. Like, you can hear them, and it's not low, I feel like this is great sense of atmosphere. And then of course, the real showstopper is the visuals here are phenomenal. A lot of great animation, manga effects, manga motion, stuff like that. I was noticing some shortcuts you were using with there's a sequence where you're kind of showing the same scene 3 times, but kind of in different orientations, and I thought that was a very economic use for that sequence. Because normally my brain, I'm like, I used it once, that's it, and it's for like 2 seconds. And there's a couple I think there's at least one segment where you bring back and stuff, and other cynical, like, people, perfectionist myself, me, I would I wouldn't do that, but like seeing you being bold enough to do that, I'm like, yeah, you should show that 2 or 3 times, because it's impressive. It's really cool looking. Why wouldn't you use that? And I don't mean to call that attention. I don't know. It's just something I remember to notice that like there are a lot of smart choices in this. It's not like breaking your back for this kind of for that level visual wow factor. And I did make a comment of this, but that was just in case I forgot in Digest for some reason. I don't know, but I really like the use of noise and other video effects. Like I think he used wave warp a little bit too, in as well with the manga movement, because I feel like a lot of times we can think, oh, it moves the manga, it's cool, it's good enough. But I really like the choice of the noise, especially the stuff that like. It wasn't like the big white noise stuff that's like in the background of some shots, kind of fill some space and stuff. But like very subtly too, like even when you're just standardly moving the manga page up like this a lot of the time, there's a lot of movement like that in the video itself that was filled with that. But like the noise you add there very, very discreetly, I think really adds a lot. And it's perfect for this particular series. I think it's very cybery and kind of staticky, and I don't know. I think it works great. That was a really good choice. Yeah, I just love the feel of this video a lot. Last thing, I'm actually very happy I remembered this. I'm actually really happy that you took a lot of time to actually tell people, hey, I hope you can share this video. You notice that I animated all of these things. Because, like, not a lot of people, like, at least me, but you don't see this in many other videos where, we don't mention the amount of work that went into, I worked hard on this video sort of deal. We just kind of let it out, just kind of get it out there. But I think pointing it out was really, really nice. And it kind of emphasizes it, and you're proud of it. And I liked that a lot. I was like, wow, I like that. Great commentary, Shaves. I thought I liked that, and I said I liked it. Stupid. Of course. But no, I thought that was lovely, and I was happy that you kind of really called attention to that point. But what a good way to come back with that, and I'm happy to see that. That was really cool. Nice one. And I think I'm gonna give the best video of the week to it's kind of this obvious. It's like the moment I see this, like, well, yeah, that's probably it. It's exactly what I want. It's what I was like looking forward to something like this. And the man delivered. The anime man, to be precise. I spent a day inside a Japanese anime studio. And this is totally not because he totally shouted me out in trash taste and I'm returning the favor or something. No, it's a be ridiculous. No, it's kind of obvious not to think that, right? But no, of course I'm gonna love the piss out of this video. There's that verb again. What the fuck? What does that mean? No, I love it because so he's going in and it's mostly in Japanese, and the subtitles are actually hard subbed into the video this time. And I think that was a smart decision because there's a lot of over talking and stuff like that. So I think it was a smart decision this time. And also, it's a mix anyway with the English and Japanese anyway, so I thought that was smart. But he is taking a visit to Cloverworks, the studio behind, was it Promised Neverland? I think that's them. But also Rascal Bunny Girl Senpai. And he has Darling in the Franxx there with the arrow. And you're like, wait, that's the A1 and Trigger Show. It's like I think they did do some work. I was going to look it up, and I didn't look it up. Dang. But that's for demonstration purposes because the show's already out. So, they can't be showing you, like, Genga of an episode that hasn't come out yet, right? That's not a thing. No, Or, don't want to date the video either, right? So that's totally fair. And I really like that Joey had the founder of Cloverworks. They went through each of the sections with pre-production, production, and post-production, and visited various people that were working on anime in different positions and talked about it. Like, I like that Joey specifically asked several of them, how did you get into this? And a lot of them were like, yeah, I just kind of came into it, sort of thing. And it was really interesting hearing their perspectives. and all of the challenges they have to go through, and there wasn't anything hard hitting like what are you getting paid or something like that. Of course not. But that's okay, and I thought that was, I think that what makes this valuable to me, I'm not going to pretend to know that I knew all this stuff. I had a vague idea, and there's other channels that are doing similar stuff, like Striving for Animation. But I thought this was a very helpful video, kind of a very straight shooting, basic idea. I mean, you could go into more detail about these things, but I thought the level of detail they went into was really great. And the fact they talked to multiple people, and just the fact that this is on such a high profile channel. Like, Anime Man is one of the biggest channels we have in this space. And for him to make a video like this that's really good quality, that doesn't have any misinformation to it. In fact, he's really interviewing the source, like not even, I mean, Canop has obviously interviewed people and has, you know, done all the, he's very informed, but he hasn't made a video where he is walking into an anime studio and interviewing the president of the studio and having them go on a tour and like, here's how many seats we have, and being there, right? Like, there really isn't anyone that's done this. Even the people that have made dedicated channels like this. I think that's excellent. And again, Joey's kind of the only one that's really capable of doing it, because at least out of the big, I was about to say the big three, because it's, this is fucking, I wouldn't say they're exactly that, but, because there are people that are, I think, are slightly bigger than Connor, at least. But like, out of Gigic, Connor, and Joey is the one that's the most prepared and qualified, I'd say, to make a video like this. And I would want Gigic to make something like this, but he's not as fluent in Japanese. So the fact that Joey's really able to talk personally with and not have to have a translator or anything like that, it really streamlines the process. And that's not to put down what Sitsnap's doing or Connor and anything like that. I think they go about those videos just fine. They're edited very well too. I do appreciate it. But yeah, I think Joey's in a perfect position for it, and it's so cool that he got that opportunity. And I thought he was very professional and cordial, and I thought the insight was really great. I mean, geez, it is what I knew he was capable of, and what he was. Yeah, I was expecting a video like this at some point. I'm sure he had ideas about it the moment he's gotten these resources, with the people of the subsidiary of Bookwalker, I guess. I don't know, whoever's been able to make Trash Taste possible. I don't quite know the name of them. But like, yeah, this was bound to happen, and I'm so happy it came off really well, I thought. Yeah, I thought that was hella good. Of course, I think it's the best one this week. And that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Beamburst, Boo, Hazel, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Tippy Mango, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.